A Ferrari pulls up next to a family SUV at a red light. The driver laughs, revs the engine, thinks he's already won. Light turns green, and the SUV is just gone. Ferrari's still shifting. That's not a stunt. That's just Tuesday for these 10 vehicles. But here's what the dealership won't put in the brochure. Behind that speed, there's a catch. Something that's cost real owners real money, sometimes right after the warranty runs out. Stay with me, because number one has a problem so common, owners joke about it online, and it never makes it into the sales pitch. Something weird happened to the car world. The fastest thing on the road isn't always a sports car anymore. It's a 3-row SUV with cup holders and a Bluetooth speaker system. People want it all now. Drop the kids off Monday morning. Blow past a Lamborghini Saturday night. Same vehicle. So automakers gave the people what they wanted. Twin-turbo V8s stuffed under family-friendly bodies. Electric motors that launch in dead silence. 0 to 60 faster than you can say it out loud. But speed isn't free. Not just at the register. After you drive off the lot too. We went through owner forums, NHTSA complaint records, and repair histories to find out what actually happens once these things get a few years and a few oil changes into ownership. Some of what we found is just expensive. Some of it is genuinely surprising. Let's get into it. 10 down to 1. And don't check out early. The last one on this list has a maintenance reputation that even die-hard fans admit is rough. Number 10, Dodge Durango SRT Hellcat. Start loud. Start American. 710 horsepower. Supercharged V8. 3 rows of seats. This thing will outlaunch cars that cost 3 times as much, and it'll do it with a car seat in the back. The appeal isn't complicated. It's the sound, the shove, the fact that it still looks like a normal SUV in a Target parking lot right up until you put your foot down. Now, the catch. Push a supercharged V8 this hard this often, and the cooling system works over time. Owners who track theirs or just drive hard regularly report the engine running hotter than they'd like under sustained load. Nothing that strands you, but enough that it's a known talking point in Hellcat owner circles. Tires take the real beating, though. Rear tires on a hard-driven Hellcat can wear down in a fraction of the mileage a normal SUV would get. That's not a defect. That's just physics fighting 710 horsepower through 2 wheels. Add premium-only fuel, brake pads that don't last as long as you'd hope on something this heavy, and a supercharger belt that eventually needs replacing, and the family SUV starts looking a lot more like a performance car budget-wise. It's a blast to drive. Just don't expect it to be cheap to keep fed. Now, if the Durango is muscle car energy in an SUV suit, our next one takes the exact same recipe and adds Jeep's off-road DNA into the mix. Same engine family, very different reputation. Number 9, Jeep Grand Cherokee Trackhawk. The Trackhawk became a cult classic almost overnight. Same supercharged Hellcat heart, dropped into a Grand Cherokee. Quarter-mile times that beat a base Porsche 911. For the money, nothing else came close. Here's the thing enthusiast forums keep coming back to, though. That transmission. Owners have reported sluggish shifting and a hard clunk from the driveline, especially under hard acceleration or when reversing. On more than a few forums, the fix that keeps coming up is a valve body replacement, and that's not a cheap afternoon job. Some owners have reported bills in the thousands, even under warranty coverage in some cases. There's also a recurring theme around dashboard warning lights. Nothing catastrophic on its own, but persistent enough that some owners say they've made peace with the occasional mystery light popping up. Because the performance parts are shared with a much smaller production run than a regular Grand Cherokee, finding a shop outside a Jeep performance specialist that really knows this drivetrain can be a challenge. And insurance companies price it like the sports car it secretly is. It's an incredible piece of engineering for the price. Just budget for the learning curve. That's the American muscle wing of this list handled. Now let's cross the Atlantic, because German engineers had their own idea of what SUV should mean, and it involves a lot more electronics. Number 8, BMW X5M Competition. Sub 3.5, second 0 to 60. Handles like something half its size. Looks like a school-run SUV until the exhaust opens up. BMW's M division builds cars people genuinely love to drive. That part isn't in question. The question is what happens after year 3. High-performance BMWs have a well-documented pattern in independent shop circles. More technology means more failure points. Adaptive suspension components, turbo hardware, and the electronics tying it all together tend to need attention right around the time factory warranties run out, which conveniently for BMW and inconveniently for owners is exactly when things get expensive. Routine maintenance alone isn't cheap here. Specialized oil, brake components built for track-capable stopping power, and labor rates that reflect the badge on the hood. Independent BMW specialists, the kind who work on nothing but M cars all day, will tell you plainly that the first 5 years are the honeymoon. After that, you're paying rent on the performance. Owner forums back this up. Air suspension complaints, turbo-related repairs, usually right in that 60,000 to 80,000 mile window most buyers assume is still safe. It's phenomenal to drive. Just don't buy one assuming it'll be cheap to own long-term. Speaking of German engineering with a taste for the dramatic, Mercedes took the same family SUV, race car heart formula, and added a hybrid system into the mix. Number 7. Mercedes-AMG GLE 63S. This one doesn't just go fast, it makes fast feel effortless. Twin-turbo V8, a 48-volt hybrid assist system, and a ride quality that makes supercar owners a little jealous at stoplights. The air suspension is where the story gets complicated. It's what gives this SUV its magic carpet ride when everything's working. And it's also one of the most commonly flagged systems in AMG ownership discussions once the vehicle ages. When it fails, the ride quality that justified the price tag goes with it, and repair estimates can run into the thousands. AMG badge Mercedes models consistently trail their standard counterparts in reliability surveys. Not dramatically, but noticeably. More performance hardware, more things that eventually need attention. Maintenance costs sit near the top of this list. AMG-specific fluids, tighter service intervals, and labor rates that come with the 3-pointed star. Buying one outside of a certified pre-owned warranty is something independent Mercedes technicians routinely warn against. Not because the car is bad, but because the bills after warranty expiration can catch people off guard. You're not just buying the car, you're buying into everything that comes after it. From German luxury, let's head to the brand whose engineering reputation is arguably the most respected in the entire performance world, and whose SUV once did something almost nobody thought possible. Number 6. Porsche Cayenne Turbo GT. This SUV once posted the fastest production SUV lap time at the Nürburgring, beating dedicated sports cars on one of the hardest tracks on the planet. Let that sink in for a second. Porsche's reputation for precision is exactly why people pay the premium here. It corners like nothing else in this category, because it was engineered by the same people who build 911s. But racetrack capability demands racetrack maintenance. The brakes on this thing are massive, and they need to be, because they're stopping a 2.5-ton SUV from triple-digit speeds. Push it the way it's designed to be pushed, and brake where it accelerates fast. A full brake job here can rival a year of maintenance on an ordinary SUV. Porsche's turbocharged engines have a documented history, well known among specialists, of certain seals and cooling components needing attention over time. Not catastrophic, not common enough to scare buyers off, but consistent enough that independent Porsche shops keep an eye on it as routine practice. Tires designed for this level of grip wear out fast, too, and they're not cheap to replace. The car rarely disappoints. The invoices, once the factory warranty's gone, absolutely can. Here's where things get interesting, because our next SUV shares a surprising amount of DNA with the Porsche you just heard about. Different badge, same bones. Number 5, Audi RS Q8. The RS Q8 rides on the same platform as the Lamborghini Urus and shares components with the Cayenne Turbo GT. Same brutal acceleration. Same supercar-adjacent engineering, wrapped in styling so understated it practically disappears in traffic. That's the appeal. It's a sleeper. Nobody expects this much from something that looks this quiet. The trade-off is that sharing a platform with a Lamborghini means sharing Lamborghini-level mechanical complexity, without always having Lamborghini-level service infrastructure on every street corner. Owners on Audi enthusiast forums report occasional air suspension quirks and electrical gremlins that can take a specialist a while to properly diagnose. Audi's RS lineup generally sits in the middle of the reliability pack. Not the horror stories some brands get, but not bulletproof either. The all-wheel drive hardware that makes this thing so capable also adds mechanical complexity that eventually needs expensive attention. It wears a business suit. It just needs the kind of tailoring that costs more than most people expect. Now let's leave the combustion world behind entirely, because the next SUV on this list doesn't have an engine sound at all. It has something arguably scarier: total silence. Number 4, Tesla Model X Plaid. Under 2.6 seconds to 60, in near total silence, with falcon wing doors that turn every school pickup into a small event. People buy this one for the future-forward tech and the bragging rights. There's genuinely nothing else that feels quite like it. The falcon wing doors are also the single most talked about pain point in Model X ownership circles. Sensor alignment issues, occasional door hesitation, repairs that can take longer and cost more than a normal door mechanism simply because there's nothing normal about how they work. Build quality has been a recurring theme in owner surveys, too. Panel gaps, trim inconsistencies, and software quirks that require more patience than a comparable gas-powered luxury SUV typically demands. Reliability surveys have consistently placed the Model X below the segment average, largely tied to these build and software issues rather than the drivetrain itself. The upside: no oil changes, way fewer moving parts under the hood. But when something unique to this car does go wrong, parts availability and appointment wait times can test your patience. The technology is genuinely ahead of its time. The execution is still catching up to it. Back to gasoline, and back to a badge with maybe the most emotional pull of anything on this list, -1. This next SUV drives like nothing else here. That's exactly the problem. Number 3, Alfa Romeo Stelvio Quadrifoglio, a Ferrari-derived twin-turbo V6, handling that genuinely rivals dedicated sports sedans. This is hands down the best driving SUV on this entire list. Here's the honest story on reliability. Early Stelvio Quadrifoglio models, 2018 and 2019 in particular, racked up a real number of NHTSA complaints and multiple recalls, mostly tied to electronics and software rather than the engine itself. It wasn't a great look for the brand's first SUV. The good news, and this matters, owners and specialists widely agree the newer model years, 2022 and later, show real improvement. Fewer warranty claims, better software, more refined build quality. So the reliability story here genuinely depends on which year you're looking at. What hasn't changed much is the dealer network. Alfa Romeo simply doesn't have the coverage that Germany's luxury brands do. So finding a shop that truly knows this platform can mean driving further than you'd like. Maintenance itself isn't outrageous compared to some entries on this list, but sourcing genuine parts and specialized diagnostic tools adds time and costs that owners of more common luxury SUVs simply don't deal with. It might be the most fun you have driving an SUV all year. Just know what you're signing up for by model year. We're in the final stretch now, and the next 2 entries don't just beat supercars. They were supercar badges. First up, the one that made practical a dirty word in Santa Gata. Number 2, Lamborghini Urus Performant. Over 650 horsepower from a twin-turbo V8. A body that can still haul groceries and car seats. And a badge that turns heads at every single stoplight. Let's be honest about why people buy this one. It's a Lamborghini. That badge alone does most of the selling. The performance is just the icing. But exotic hardware comes with exotic bills. Routine service can run into the thousands per visit. Specialized parts sometimes require real lead time, since the dealer network is nowhere near as dense as a mainstream luxury brand. Sharing its platform with the Cayenne and RSQ8 means it inherits similar concerns. Air suspension components, complex turbo systems, electronics that need brand-specific diagnostic equipment most general shops simply don't have. The number that tends to catch people off guard isn't even the maintenance, it's insurance. Full coverage on a Urus Performante can run close to what some people pay on an entire second car every single month. You're not buying a vehicle, you're buying a lifestyle with a recurring bill attached. And here it is, the one that shouldn't exist. The one Ferrari swore for decades they would never build. Number 1, Ferrari Purosang, a naturally aspirated 6.5-liter V12 producing 715 horsepower, revving to an 8,250 revolutions per minute redline. 0 to 60 in 3.3 seconds. Top speed 193 miles per hour. Wrapped in an SUV shape that Ferrari purists still argue about online. That's genuinely quicker than a lot of dedicated sports cars costing half as much. People buy this one for a single, simple reason. It says Ferrari on the back. That's the most exclusive, most emotional badge in the entire car world, now available with 4 doors. Here's the part almost nobody says out loud before they buy one. Ferrari ownership costs are legendary, and not in a flattering way. Scheduled maintenance across a Ferrari's ownership life can genuinely run into the tens of thousands of dollars. Service has to happen through Ferrari-trained technicians. Parts availability runs entirely through a tightly controlled dealer network. There's no corner shop shortcut here. A high-revving, naturally aspirated V12 like this also demands strict adherence to service intervals. Skip one, and the consequences can escalate fast, both mechanically and financially. Most owner complaints, when you actually dig through them, aren't really about the car breaking. They're about wait times, for parts, for appointments, for specialized service, especially if you're not near a major metro area. Respect the schedule, and this car will reward you for decades. Ignore it, and it becomes the most expensive lesson in the garage. So that's 10 SUVs that can flat out embarrass a supercar on any given Saturday. But every single one of them is hiding something behind that speed. Some of it's just physics, tires and brakes wearing faster under real power. Some of it's complexity, more tech, More failure points, bigger bills once the warranty clock runs out. Now you actually know what you'd be signing up for. So here's my question for you. If you had to daily drive just one of these 10 for the next 5 years, which one are you picking? Drop it in the comments. I actually read every single one. If this video just talked you out of an expensive mistake or talked you into your dream SUV, hit subscribe. Next week, we're digging into 5 luxury cars that look flawless on the outside and are quietly falling apart underneath. You're going to want to see that one. See you in the next video.